Shabbat Shalom to everyone. It is an honor to be able to speak with you this evening, and I thank our congregation for giving me this opportunity. Some people take things to the extreme. The Big Texan Steak Ranch is a steakhouse restaurant and motel located in Amarillo, Texas. The Big Texan is known for its 72-ounce, 4.5 pounds steak. The steak is free to anyone who in 1 hour or less can eat the entire meal, consisting of the steak itself, a bread roll with butter, a baked potato, shrimp cocktail, and a salad. And if you don't finish it within an hour, the meal costs you $72. Those who have successfully consumed the 72-ounce steak challenge have their names recorded and posted at the restaurant. To date, over 9,800 people out of about 68,000 people who attempted this challenge have accomplished this feat. If you want more about it, just Google it. It's rather fascinating. This is a form of fanaticism. It's really grotesque on a lot of levels, beyond the fact that it could probably kill you. But there are carnivorous zealots who are willing to engage in such acts. In the human experience, there is this lurking tendency to go to the extreme. There are people who just go too far. They do not know when to stop. They are unable to achieve balance in their lives, their moods, or their actions. Analyzing the human predisposition to fanaticism or zealotry or extremism, these words are often interchangeable, is a major focus of our Torah reading. Zealotry can be defined as the fanatical and uncompromising pursuit of religious, political, or other ideals. What does our tradition make of it? Our Torah portion begins by referring to an event that occurred at the end of last week's reading, when Pinchas, Aaron, the high priest's son, kills Zimri, a member of the tribe of Shimon, and Cosbi, the daughter of a Midianite chieftain. As the Torah recounts the episode, the Midianites have failed to stop the Israelites from moving towards the promised land and even traversing their land. They turn to a more disturbing tactic, seducing the Israelite men with Midianite women, who then led them into idolatry and apostasy, resulting in a punishing plague. Thereupon, God commanded Moses to publicly execute the ringleaders, and Moses in turn instructed Israel's officials to slay those among the people who have been drawn into pagan worship. Very strong consequences. But then we read the following. Just then, Zimri and Cosbi flaunted their relationship in the sight of the entire Israelite community. Zimri and Cosbi publicly paraded past Moses, enter a tent with the intention of having sexual relations. And Pinchas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, is furious. He takes his spear, rushes into the tent, and stabs both of them. The Torah says Pinchas took impassioned action for his God by killing them, thus checking the raging plague. A kind of graphic story, but I needed to go through it. The relationship between Midian and Israel was improper. Moses was to respond to it, but then you have this Pinchas in his zealotry seeing something that he felt was inappropriate and wrong. He just goes and stabs the people. What happens? God is said to have granted Pinchas a pact of peace, what's called a Brit Shalom, ensuring that he and his descendants would serve as priests for all time. It is possible to laud Pinchas, I guess, because he protected the honor of God and the spiritual integrity of the community. He was a zealot for God. Our sages, however, reject his zealotry. The sages rule that acts of zealotry, even in the case of Pinchas, can never be condoned by law. Zealots are always acting in violation of the law, the sages teach us. And the Jerusalem Talmud even reports that the elders at the time said that Pinchas had committed murder. And the Babylonian sages state that had Zimri, the Israelite who was slain by Pinchas, taken up arms against him and killed him in self-defense, he would have been exonerated, for at that moment Pinchas was coming to murder him. The law should be about preserving and protecting human lives. It has no place for zealotry, extremism, for acts that destroy lives and shatter the structures of society. Vigilante justice must always be rejected. So what is the lesson to be derived from this? It is one thing to stand and speak up for our principles, to be passionate advocates for our beliefs, or to stand firmly even if there are negative consequences. It's another thing to be a zealot. When we cross over to zealotry, what happens? We stop thinking there is another way to look at reality, only our reality counts. We end up being self-righteous, we feel superior to others. We feel unrestrained by social norms. The person who rejects our view is the enemy. We have extremists on both sides of the political spectrum in our country who believe, for example, in censoring speech. This especially is prevalent on college campuses. They are zealots for their own view of reality, negating the views of others. We have political leaders who, if they could, would censor the press because they don't like to be questioned. They are zealots for their own power. We have people who do not believe that the election in November was fair and were willing on January 6th to carry out an act of sedition to take down our republic. And in spite of the facts point to unequivocally that Biden won, zealotry has distorted their view of reality and made them into traitors. And of course, religion can nurture this kind of craziness. In Israel this past Monday, United Torah Judaism member of Knesset, Meir Porush, likened Reform Jews and Labor Party member of Knesset, Gilad Kariv, a Reform rabbi, to pigs in a Knesset speech. What responsible person would say such an ugly, crazy thing? A religious zealot, a religious fanatic, committed to distorting really our religion, which leads to intolerance. I believe that being mindful of this fanaticism is central to our celebration of the 4th of July. Our founding ancestors lived in a time of great political debate. There wasn't a lot of peace during the time of the creation of our nation. People were outspoken and said some really crazy things to each other. The early history of our nation contains passionate discussions of every fundamental issue. That's why studying colonial history and the founding of our republic and the founders of our nation is such a fascinating undertaking. Many of these people were also people of faith with serious religious conviction. And yet they created a republic which encouraged multiple views, which cultivated compromise. And just read the Declaration of Independence. I reread it this past week, and it doesn't take that very long. It's an incredible document. because there's a lot of religious language in it. It refers to a God of reason, a God who is the creator, a God who is a source of justice. Yet, it does not mention any specific religion. It does not play one religion over another. No zealotry in the name of our own individual religious beliefs. Our founders were smarter than that. We must not allow zealots guided by hatred and division and ignorance to define who we are as individuals, as people, as a country, or as people of faith. Let's not think that zealotry is just a passing phase. It won't pass. It is part of the human condition. In every moment in history, if it is not objected to, it only feeds on itself and gets worse. On the 4th of July, we need to heed our nation's goal to create a stable, balanced society. And I've quoted this before, but I will quote it again. The warning by Francis Crick, one of the discoverers of the DNA molecule, who said, "The dangerous man is the one who has only one idea, because then he'll fight and die for it." Shabbat Shalom.